seconds to go. We need a Minneapolis miracle. Case on a deep drop, steps up in the pocket. He'll fire to the right side. Off by Diggs. Stay in oh my God! 30, no 10, touchdown! Are you kidding me? Miracle finish! It's a Minneapolis miracle! Oh my God! No way! Ah! What a miracle finish!
Well, let's see here. It's just about dinner time. The Minnesota Vikings game is finally over, and the State of Purple initial reactions segment is here. He's Jack Day. I'm Aj Mansour. We are here to share our initial reactions, and for you, to allow you to share your initial reactions too, in the comments section. Please throw some comments in that comment section. We'll pull them on the screen. You can be part of the broadcast and conversation as well. Jack, Minnesota Vikings win. You there? Continue to break it down.
Yeah, it was another weird game. I feel like I keep having this conversation week after week where it was like, it kind of felt like through the first half, it was another like snooze fest almost. It was another boring performance by the offense. But then the Vikings defense, they allowed or the special teams unit allowed a block punt and made things more interesting. And then they let the Carolina Panthers tie the game up with what I think it was under 2 minutes. And it was a 98-yard drive that they gave up after. If it wasn't for that drive, I think you and I would be having a conversation about this defense and saying Mike Zimmer's defense it's looked good the last few weeks, but it just can't come up in clutch times. The same exact thing happened against the Detroit Lions. I do want to say one thing before we kind of get into the positives and negatives about this. Wanted to just say it's been a blast. I tweeted this was my initial reaction right after the game. Watching KJ Osborne come onto the scene, I think throughout the first couple what should have been game-winning drives throughout this season so far, he's had some huge clutch catches in meaningful time when there's 2 minutes or less in the game when the Vikings are trying to claw their way back into this. He had another one of those, which should have been the first game-winning drive for Kirk Cousins that they missed a field goal there, and we can talk about that later, I'm sure. But then he finds a way in the end zone and seals the deal, and it's been cool kind of seeing the Vikings kind of have a solidified wide receiver 3 out there with Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen.
Yeah, we've talked a couple times this year about the the number of drives that Cousins has led for this team to give them a position to at least win the game. They're just mounting up. I mean, he had 2 in this game, right? I mean, I don't know how we officially count that one, but he had one in regulation to get them within a decently makeable, was it 47-yard field goal attempt? Something that should have been made. It wasn't. We can talk about that later as well. But this team just can't make it easy, right? And is that a sign of a team that is not good enough to really do that? For the first time, we talked about, we were goofing around on social media saying that it looked like the Vikings were putting their boot on the throat of the opponent for the first time all season long. Now, granted, there was a blocked punt for a touchdown, which you don't necessarily plan for. The Vikings should have had this game in hand, not even have to worry about 2-point conversion misses and whatever. They should, Carolina probably wasn't going to score a touchdown with their offense on that drive had the punt gone off as normal, as expected, and given them the ball, with decent field position, probably at their own 40 or something. They still probably wouldn't have scored a touchdown there. So there are good things to glean from this, Jack. I don't know that any of them surpass the bad feeling of once again letting a team come back, not only to get close to tying, but to tie on a 2-point conversion at the very last minute of the game.
Yeah, and we've talked about this. I think going into this game, you and I both said this has to be some sort of statement win for the Minnesota Vikings. They have to go in and keep their foot on the gas throughout 60 minutes. They played 55 minutes of good football, and then the defense started to fall apart. And then on top of it, I don't get this. I don't know. I think it's more of a Clint Kubiak thing. I think the frustrations are going to start to build within that offensive locker room because it's been frustrating watching Clint Kubiak call plays. Why on earth? It doesn't make sense to me why this team can go down the field like this when there's less than 2 minutes and they need to go down there. But then during the middle of a game, they're just lackadaisical. They're doing screenplay after screenplay and running up the middle. Granted, Dalvin Cook ran for, I think it was like 140 yards and had like 4.8 yards per carry or something like that against a pretty good defense. But it's just frustrating when the game plan, it's just been over and over and over again. They can't figure out a legitimate game plan. And I don't know. It seemed like they could move the ball. Justin Jefferson was getting open. Adam Thielen had I don't know if I want to say career day because we've seen him put up some huge days, but Adam Thielen had a huge day too. And Thielen, Jefferson, KJ Osborne, Delvin Cook, they were all firing on all cylinders. Or I almost said Christian Kirk. I don't know where I was going with that, but Kirk Cousins had another solid day. What you just said, which should have been 2 game-winning drives. I don't know how we necessarily characterize that either, but it's frustrating. And you look at this gauntlet that I know they're going into the bye now, but the gauntlet coming up, they're playing back-to-back playoff teams. And right now, I just don't think that's going to be pretty for the Minnesota Vikings.
I'm going to pull up this comment here that just came in from Itzmer on Twitch. It kind of seems like a joke. It kind of seems like I don't know if a team has ever been 500 or finished the season 500 if we extrapolate this out and had their quarterback win the MVP. But Kirk Cousins right now is what is the sole thing that is keeping this team in contention, right? I mean, they're 3-3 despite a bunch of different things because of Kirk Cousins, and they should have a better record because of Kirk Cousins. Again, that Bengals game, he got him in position. The Arizona game, he got him in position. There were opportunities there for this team to potentially be 5-1. Think about that. This team could be 5-1. They could be anything. Okay, we don't have to say that, but they're single plays away, missed kicks away, fumbles away, controversial fumbles at that, away from being a 5-1 football team. But it doesn't feel like they're a good football team, right? If they had won those games, would we still be feeling like they're the way we feel now, like this team just isn't good enough to compete with the Green Bay Packers? With you look across the division, the conference, the Baltimore Ravens look great. You have good teams in this NFL that the Vikings just look like they can't compete with right now.
Yeah, and I just want to say for all the people that are saying, hey, Kirk Cousins has not been the problem. I know he's had some instances this season where it's been like, Kirk, what are you doing? Get outside the pocket, scramble a little bit. He did that today. He kind of kept it alive. I think that, I don't know if that was in the overtime drive or what should have been the first game-winning drive. We had like a 16-yard scramble, but he finished with 373 yards and 3 touchdowns and a game-winning drive. I don't know what more you can ask for all the people that are Kirk Cousins doubters and haters. I don't know what more you can ask for. Kirk Cousins just went out there, and I'm not going to say he single-handedly did this. I don't think he should have had to do this. Mike Zimmer's defense should have kept this team. I said this in the preview show. This felt like a game where the Vikings were going to be up, and they were going to rely on their defense to kind of put this game away. That's how Mike Zimmer has won games in the past. That's how he continues to want to win games going into the future from what it looks like. And they failed at doing that. And it was another game where Kirk Cousins had to put the team on his back in overtime, and he succeeded.
Yeah, no doubt he did. Some good news that we did see on social media. We'll have to wait and see what it really is tomorrow. But Patrick Peterson, it sounds like he went down with cramps. That looked like a situation where he could have gone down with a pulled hamstring, kind of stumbled at the end of that play, came up grabbing what looked like his right hamstring. But the official diagnosis as of right now is cramps. That's from the team. So that's good news. Clearly, Cam Dantzler came in there. There were a couple bonehead plays at the end for him. There was a mix-up in coverage, I think, between Breland and Kendricks in the end zone for that Robbie Anderson touchdown. It got ugly towards the end, Jack. Somebody in the comments, and it's a couple back, said a win is a win. All right, it's still a win. It is still a win. They do go into the bye at 500. Okay, you have an opportunity to reassess yourself before that gauntlet schedule comes out, starting with that Sunday night game against the Dallas Cowboys. But you're 500 going into the bye. Was there any other good thing? We got Kirk. We got good news with Patrick Peterson. Any good thing that stood out to you from this game that maybe they can build on and carry into that Week 8 matchup against the Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah, the Patrick Peterson news is huge. I thought that seemed like with how he was acting, and then you see the tweet about him getting carted off the field. It was like, could that be a potential season-ending injury to really – I know he doesn't have an interception, I don't believe, on the season, but he's been a bright spot for this defense, and he's playing – I think he's 31, 32 years old. People were kind of questioning if his better football was behind him. He's pretty clearly the best cornerback on this Vikings roster right now, so losing him would just be an even bigger dagger going into what we've been talking about, this gauntlet of this brutal stretch of 5 games coming up after the bye. But there is one more positive, and I think the biggest positive for this was not hearing his name brought up throughout the game regularly. I think the negative along the offensive line, there's negatives and positives for that offensive line. I know you had a funny tweet about Oli Udoh. He struggled today. Every single penalty flag that was thrown, it seemed like it was number 74 that was called, which is frustrating because he's had kind of some ups and downs throughout the season. I know, like, right away, everyone was like, hey, the Vikings have a right guard. Now it's starting to look like that might not be necessarily the case. Wyatt Davis is still there, their 2021 third-round draft pick. That could be something to monitor. But their 2021 first-round draft pick, Christian Darrisaw, played the entire game. I've had Jordan Reed. I think he's been on with PA. He did a draft show with PA throughout the spring. Jordan Reed is one of my favorite draft analysts, and he tweeted something out throughout the game just saying, this has been a very good and complete game for Christian Darrisaw. I don't know. There's nothing that I can tell you yet. I haven't seen the PFF rankings. I can't tell you that much about statistics along the offensive line, but not hearing Christian Darrisaw's name throughout the game was a positive, and especially coming in after that weird instance last year where it was Hill, Darrisaw. Darrisaw, I believe, played the entire game at left tackle. I don't believe Kirk Cousins got sacked all game. And I think Burns is a very, very good pass rusher. I don't know. I think he bounces around on both sides of the defensive line for Carolina. But for the fact that Christian Darrisaw did not allow a sack in his, I'll say, true NFL debut, I think that's a huge positive, because I said that going into on Thursday's show. I said Christian Darrisaw needs to play now. He played, and I think he played very well.
Yeah, Jack, we'll wrap it up here for today. I know you're going to head over and get some stuff up for KFAN.com, as am I. And if you're streaming right now, I encourage you to hop on the iHeartRadio app, find KFAN, and tune into Fanline, because we'll continue this conversation with Nordo, I believe, and Ron Johnson today, and taking calls from all the Vikings fans that have a lot of feelings and a lot of thoughts after this interesting Minnesota Vikings win. At the end of the day, though, Jackie, it is a win, an overtime victory over the Carolina Panthers, 34-28. The Minnesota Vikings go to 3-3 heading into the bye. 1 week off, and then we'll have some time to self-scout, reassess this team, and then square off against the Dallas Cowboys team, which I believe, let me look real quick, they're losing right now, 14-7. They are driving, but 14-7, they're losing to the New England Patriots as we speak right now. Jack, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. It's a beautiful day. I know we missed a lot of it because that game took about 4 hours to finish, but whatever you can, go salvage it, and we'll talk to you tomorrow, my man.
10 seconds to go. We need a Minneapolis miracle. Case on a deep drop. Steps up in the pocket. He'll fire to the right side. Caught by Diggs. Stay up. Oh my God.